Welcome back to the Tailgate, folks. I want to share with you something that I stumbled on almost 40 years ago that I think can be helpful to you, at least as far as something that's been helpful to me. You've seen me in the videos wearing these kind of silly white gloves, and I just want to talk to you about why I wear white gloves and where those came from. So stay tuned. Now, I've used all kinds of leather gloves over the years. Really, if I had my choice, I used to be able to get fairly easily the leather gloves, buckskin gloves made from elk hide, and they were thick, but they were pliable and were easy to keep because they were truly tanned like a buckskin type tanning. Even when they got wet with a little bit of work, they could loosen up. My dad worked for Idaho Power for 27 years, and because of the circumstances there as an employee, he could buy those, and so we always had those around. I've used buckskin gloves, actual deerskin gloves, and I like those real well too. Of course, you've got the gloves that you can buy at Costco that are great gloves. They hold up well. They're cowhide, work well. But the glove that I've enjoyed the most, and the glove that I turn to in almost any circumstances, other than where it's just simply sheer thickness to protect my hands, are goatskin gloves. Tell you a little bit about how I came about that. 40 years ago, I was in a hardware store. I had been looking for a pair of white gloves to use in a drama situation I was involved in. I was looking for just the old men's dress gloves and couldn't find any, and I saw these white gloves on the rack. Looked a lot like these right here, and I thought maybe those would work, and I bought them. I never used them for the situation that I thought I was buying them for, and they actually literally sat in a closet for a number of years. And it was early in my practice as an attorney. I didn't have a lot of money, needed some leather gloves. I thought, oh, I'll just go ahead and pull those out. And so I pulled them out and started using them. And what I found with this goatskin leather glove is it's fairly thin, but it's very tough. And that combination is something that I really enjoy. It gives me a lot of dexterity, a lot of tactile feeling through these gloves. They are much more usable with fine motor skills than these heavier cowskin gloves. Interesting. My dad worked for a farmer rancher during the Second World War. He was a teenager during the Second World War, and just young enough that he didn't have to go overseas. But while he was working for that farmer out on the farm in those days, the farmer called any gloves Hitler helpers. And so all my life I've been told to get those Hitler helpers off your hands so you can get that knot untied, or so that you can do the things that you need to get done, other than when I'm actually grabbing wood or those kinds of things. That's the difference, though, with these as opposed to the cowskin gloves. Even the elkskin gloves were thick enough that I didn't have the same ability to feel through it that I do through these goatskin gloves. Interestingly, though, these goatskin gloves are pretty good insulators. For example, I can pull things out of a fire. When we make, they call them hobo dinners, tinfoil dinners. Boy Scouts use it a lot, where you just wrap things in aluminum foil, cook it on open coals of a fire. I can reach in and turn those over really as well with the same kind of insulation that I get out of the cowskin gloves, and yet I have a lot more movement and dexterity with these. So I really like these. Another thing I really like about them is that I can get them soaking wet, and when I put them back on, they're almost never stiff, or if they are, it's really easy to work them back out. Something about the leather, the way it is, makes them much more supple than something like a cowskin glove. And so I've really gotten so I love using these. And I always have. I've got 3 or 4 pair here. I've purchased a new pair to use for this video. We're going to show a couple of things that I do to them when I get ready. One of the things I found just recently, a week or a week and a half ago, just about a week before I bought the ones for the video, I found a pair that are lined. Not anything fancy, but some lining so that I use these for my driving gloves in the morning when I'm driving and it's cold outside. Here in Middleton, this morning it was 22 degrees, and I jump in my cold pickup. It's not very comfortable. I throw those on. Actually, down to about 22 degrees, I don't do much of anything. But below that, I usually throw those on when I'm scraping my windows, when I go up and feed my horse. It's just nice to have a good pair of leather gloves. And even with the lining, they're still really flexible and give me that dexterity. Now, I'm going to pull the camera in here. We're going to talk a little bit about what I do to get my gloves ready, and we'll go from there. All right, so here we are at the tailgate. I want to talk to you, like I said, a little bit about what I do to get gloves ready when I start using them. One of the things you'll notice on this pair of cowskin gloves, I typically will write, especially on these cowskin gloves, I like to kind of get a feel for how long they're lasting. I'll write my name because they tend to walk off, and I'll write a date, and that way I kind of know how long it's lasting depending on the work I'm doing. When I'm doing something that I know I'm going to just wear through a pair of gloves, for example, if I'm setting pavers or I'm digging in gravel or something like that, that's going to go through those fingers pretty quickly. And I buy the cowskin gloves. They do hold up a little bit better for that, not a lot, but a little bit better, and I don't feel like it's such a sacrifice. But when I want to get things done on my everyday work, when I need to feel what I'm doing, when I need some dexterity, I need that fine motor skill, I go to the goat skin glove. Always, until just a couple of years ago, when I would get a pair of gloves, I'd throw them on and start using them, break them in, and get them ready. I watched a video by my YouTube hero, Corey at Wrangler Star, and he gave a suggestion that I have followed up on, and it has made some real significant difference in how long my gloves last, as well as how they feel when I'm wearing them. And that is, in his situation, he used a different brand than I do, but he put some leather preservatives, some leather treatment on his gloves. And the main leather treatment that I use on almost everything I do is, and this isn't a paid endorsement, and I'm not trying to sell this stuff, I just really find it very useful, and that is Leather Honey, leather conditioner. And what I did, if you look at these gloves, you can see that they've been treated for that. There's a spot right here that's still pretty light that didn't get a good shot of it, right here as well. But I put some of this Leather Honey on those, and I found that really the easiest way to do that is put the gloves on. There's a brand new pair I just opened up. I put those gloves on. I'm going to put these underneath it because we don't want to waste any. I take and I put a little of that Leather Honey right in the palm of those gloves. Now it's only about 40 degrees out here, so it would be better if it was a little warmer. But I simply just start rubbing that in like I had lotion on my hands. And what will happen as I rub that in, and as those warm up, and I'll probably stick these in my windshield when I take off here today, but what I do is I'm rubbing that in, and obviously we've used up most of it. I simply get a little more of it, keep rubbing it in, and what I found, what Wrangler Star taught me, and what I found to be absolutely true, is that not only does it make these gloves much more supple, and even better when they get wet, in the sense that they don't get stiff or dry out. What I found is that they actually last a lot longer. They hold up better when I'm working with rough surfaces and those types of things. Now, I've got a good lathering on this, and quite frankly, what I'll probably do is, like I said, stick them in on my dashboard in my windshield, so that warmth from the sun helps that soak in. And I'll do another application of this sometime a little later, and we will have then a pair of gloves that is prepared for hard use and prepared for me to continue to use them for a long period of time. I want to share with you one thing. After I went off camera making this video, I decided to go ahead and do an application of the Leather Honey to the insulated gloves. I hadn't done that yet, Now the gloves I've got sitting here are the ones I did in the video, and they have not changed colors, even though I did a pretty liberal application of the leather honey. But I've had this happen with other goatskin gloves, where when I made the application of the leather honey, I get this kind of turquoise color, which is just fine. I just want you to know that that could happen with your gloves. I think it must have something to do with the tanning process. Doesn't change the value or the usability or the strength or the durability of the gloves, but turns it a quite different color. You can see the difference here is pretty distinct. Actually takes away some of those problems as far as using it for deer hunting gloves, although I'm not sure I'd want to wear these on my hands if I was turkey hunting without some different color, because that could be mistaken for a turkey head. But just wanted to share that with you. I'm looking forward to using these gloves no more now that I've got that application. It just makes them so supple and so nice. Again, leather honey is a great product. Goatskin gloves are a great product, and I highly recommend both. So folks, one of the things I find is having a good pair of gloves changes the game drastically. Keeps your fingers from getting chewed up, keeps you from getting cuts on your fingers, and that is something I'm horrible about. I've got a couple on my fingers right now because I did some projects this week. It provides you with some confidence when you're grabbing something. You see here in the back of my truck, I've got a pretty good crop of fat wood that we're going to take and process. It just makes it a whole lot easier to deal with all of those things, keeps you from having splinters. Just a great thing to have, a decent pair of gloves. One of the things that's nice about these goatskin gloves is that they aren't terribly expensive. They're easy to find. I've bought them at gas stations as well as hardware stores, farm implement stores, all kinds of places carry them. And just a great thing to have. I highly recommend you get yourself a pair of goatskin gloves. I know the white isn't the best color, especially if you're a deer hunter, but I think they could easily be dyed. I just simply leave them that way, and you can see after a little bit of use they start turning into a nice gray and are just a great glove. Highly recommend these, and get them prepared, get them ready, have them in places where you need them, and then you'll be ready for things. And that's because if you're prepared, you're never really lost. Thank you. Hey, check us out at sagesawtoothbushcraft.com, both for additional videos and additional products that may help your life be more prepared and be more ready for enjoying the outdoors and enjoying the circumstances of your life, as well as being prepared for things that may come up in our lives these days. Thank you.